Welcome to the first episode of the new Jim Freeland Show here at the Against the Wall Studios, the man cave at the Against the Wall Studios. Stay tuned. After this, we'll have some news and analysis and then some more news.
I've known a lot of women, baby. I've even loved a few. Some were good and some were bad. No one was just like you. Now they say I'm too old to get hurt in love. That ain't true. 'Cause girl, when you left me, you broke my heart right in two. Right in two. And I'm too old to get too old to get
All right, welcome back to the show. You know, now that I know that it's working right, maybe there's another player. Whoops. Hold on, let me stop the next queued up tune we got going here. Yeah, this is the pilot. We'll call it the test, but I'll stay on for an hour. I'll do an hour of a podcast. Now that I know it's working, yeah, I must have the wrong actual player in order to listen to it, because you have to. It's kind of convoluted how you have to do it, but I want to make it easier so that you just hit play. And if you pick April 4th and then just hit play, it's definitely will play through. It will play. It will play this current live podcast, which will be up at Spreaker, at Spreaker.com. You can find the Jim Freeland Show there. Yes, I will definitely have to put a footnote, but I think I can get another player that just picks it up. And so anyways, what I'll do is I sort of have, like, you know, a show, enough material here to go for a show, but what I'll do is I'll play Moment of Clarity, and I'll get serious about hanging out for another 45 minutes with you. Let me just find the new Moment of Clarity. Oh, here we go.
We got no plans at all. Evil man's always transcending. Fighter like sheep, swallow everything. Always simpletons or pretending.
This is your Moment of Clarity from LeeCamp.net. I'm sure you heard about the Exxon oil spill in Mayflower, Arkansas the other day. The original Mayflower ship explored new territory. And in a way, so is this oil spill, because it's one of the first tar sands oil spills in the U.S. And we're learning how hard it is to clean up this shit. I love learning new things, don't you? So the heads of these oil companies, I'll call them psychopathic butthole-faced greed monkeys, or PBGMs for short, make billions of dollars a year for their companies. These companies also get subsidies from the taxpayers to the tune of anywhere between $10 and $50 billion. Then, when asked to pay taxes back to the society they've pillaged, the PBGMs look at us as if we've asked them to spend a weekend bathing the homeless. According to Citizens for Tax Justice, between 2008 and 2010, ExxonMobil paid a tax rate of 0.4%. That's less taxes than Snoop Dogg paid on his medicinal marijuana stash. Then when they spill oil across a town like Mayflower, they do a great job of pretending to clean it up. With big paper towels and funny hats and hoses, they put on quite a little show. And why do I consider it a show? Because there's a deep, dark secret about oil that the PBGMs really don't want you to know. You can't clean up oil. You can't do it. Not really. Not in the real world. Not when it's mixed with water and soil and otters. It's fucking impossible. You can clean up some of it. You can push it around a little. You can get it out of people's fucking faces. But it ain't gonna magically subtract itself from the water and land. So what Exxon and BP do is they make it look like they're cleaning up. Just like it looks like that magician ripped the head off the bunny rabbit. Just like it looks like that guy punted that football across a fucking highway and into a basketball hoop in that viral video that got 12,743,000 more views than this video will ever get. Did any of those things really happen? Nope. But it's all part of the show, my friends. Exxon should win an Oscar for best performance by a corporation in a dark, dark comedy. And even though they put on a show, they would prefer you don't see the spill at all. And this is why BP held the media back from the Gulf of Mexico, even going to the trouble of hiding oil-covered dolphin carcasses, which is really a specialty skill. Not many colleges even allow you to major in that anymore. It's got to be a labor of love. And Exxon has fought the media back from this news spill. They even went so far as to get the FAA to declare a no-fly zone over the spill. You know, there were only 3 other events in our history that were so gruesome the authorities wouldn't even allow planes to fly overhead. 9/11, the eviction of Occupy, and last year's Adam Sandler film, That's My Boy. But luckily, Exxon's now telling us this wasn't an oil spill. They're telling us they spilled something else called bitumen, which sounds like how Snoop Dogg would describe his weed. But no, bitumen is chemicals mixed with Canadian tar sands. It's even more toxic than oil. And the Koch brothers and TransCanada and Exxon and so many others are salivating at the idea of pumping this shit across the entire continental U.S. in the new tar sands pipeline, aka the Keystone XL, aka the nail in the coffin for climate change. A rupture from the Keystone pipeline would make this current spill look like wiping dog shit off the bottom of your shoe. Bitumen is a vicious motherfucker, and it's not going to be cleaned up by a quicker picker-upper. Wait a second, I thought we were talking about oil. How'd we get to climate change? A good person to ask about that would be NASA scientist James Hansen, who has told us for years that the tar sands contain twice the amount of carbon dioxide emitted by global oil use in our entire history. And if we fully exploit them, the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere would be truly catastrophic, killing off between 20 and 50% of the planet's species. And for those of you who think you don't care about this, it would also probably ruin your bachelor party. I hope that celebratory blow-up doll also works as a raft, because your town will likely be underwater. So what can you do about this other than protest the Keystone XL and throw things at your TV? Well, there's actions going on everywhere, every day. My friend Ed Fallon in Iowa has a cool one. He's doing a march for climate action across the entire United States. Some say marches never do anything. I point them to the civil rights marches and the Vietnam War marches and the march that Snoopy does every Thanksgiving Day down the streets of Manhattan to raise money for erectile dysfunction research. Of course, it was revealed last year that someone just forgot to inflate that part of Snoopy's body. So maybe that example isn't the best. Anyway, you can learn more about the march at climatemarch.org. And tell the Keystone Pipeline to go fuck itself before it fucks all of us. That's been your moment of clarity from LeeCamp.net. If you don't always have time to watch the MOC videos, you can listen to it on my podcast. You'll get the rants for free right into your head holes, these head holes. I'll put the link to the iTunes page in the description below, and you can also get my podcast on Stitcher and Android app. Thanks a lot. Keep fighting.
No plans at all. Evil man's always transcending. Fighter like sheep, swallow everything. Always simpletons or pretend.
Oh, yeah, fuck the XL pipeline, indeed. Did you know that Exxon's gotten away with it? They're getting away without having to pay for any of the cleanup. Because of what he just said. Because that's not oil. It's not crude. Oops. Uno momento. Okay. Yeah, because it's more than just oil. It's even worse than oil. It's mixed with all them frickin' chemicals. You know, I can swear on this on my own podcast right now, but enough of them are already gonna slip out. So Exxon has found, just like Larry Silverstein, has found a loophole. And Exxon's found a way to be spared from having to pay any money into the fund that will cover, the cleanup and the cost of the pipeline spill. Now they're finding dead ducks covered in oil. I mean, it looked horrible, some of the pictures, and it's not small. 12,000 barrels. They call it low-quality Wabaska heavy crude oil. But it's not. It's tar sand, all right? The irony here is that the transportation of tar sands, the oil through the pipelines in the United States, is exempt from payment into Oil Spill Liability Trust Fund. Exxon, like all these companies that ship toxic tar sand, don't have to pay into this fund. And this is the fund that is going to pay for the cost of the cleanup of this spill. BP, Exxon, they always find a way out. Now, that, again, I was talking to Suzanne Posel about a system that was created to protect a handful of people so that no matter how much muck, no matter how much, crap is splattered, they're protected. They're shielded. They can't be prosecuted. They can't be, and no, not that, some lower level executives at ExxonMobil may not, may be prosecuted. They can always find, but at the top, no one ever will be, never is, and never will be. I was reading something earlier today about thyroid contamination, radiation in children, young children from Fukushima. Last year, we learned that last year's tuna run up the Pacific coast, the left coast here of America, 19 out of 19 salmon, or tuna, 19 out of 19 tested had elevated levels of radiation, cesium, I believe. I'm not an expert. I got something going. I haven't decided on networks or anything like that, but I just knew that for, hell, for $20, I can have something up and running for my friends, for the people that love to hear my voice. And here it is. So you can go to againstthewall.info, and it's a little convoluted. I'll streamline it a little bit the way you get the player. In the near future, I hope I'll have my show simulcast. This will be sporadic. At the end of every show, I'll post when I plan on doing the next show. I'm still trying to get things together so that I can do a show and have my life, have a life, have, I don't want to need funding, and I don't want to have advertising. The only thing you'll see is on my website at Against the Wall is Enter Food, and it's something that I swear by. I've been eating it for 6 years now. Enter Food. But other than that, I'm not selling, and even that I could take down. I haven't made a penny off the affiliate program. But even that, this show is commercial free. If I get picked up, if I can figure out a way for networks to pick up this stream, if I can get somebody to help me write some code so that, if I'm not live, networks always grab the next available archive off my, out of my storage. That'll be great, because I'm not going to do commercials. I'm not going to beg for money. I'm going to fund my own operation. I mean, this is pretty, every once in a while donations are cool, but they're not. I'm not going to need them. I don't need them to operate. That's just bullcrap, because it's just really to pay bills that I got to pay anyways. So in the future, let's see. Let's see what this is from Steve Quayle. New barracks being built. For whom? 36,000 soldiers per base in 6 states. I just, you get these stories from here and a few other sources, and it's like, how do you believe some of this stuff? Anyways, I was talking to a guy in Arizona, union drywall worker. He stated that he worked on half a dozen military bases in different states doing drywall. There were 24 barracks, each had 500 rooms that held 3 people. None of them are occupied yet. This works out to 36,000 unknown soldiers per base. Your listeners and readers need to look into this. Accommodation for immersion. Anyways, Steve Quayle. Steve Quayle. H1N1's going to kill you all. And a couple weeks later, he says, I knew it was a hoax all along. It wasn't. Anyways, I should have read that one. Oh, man. Just in the last couple of days, we got, and they're plugging these more and more, these news stories. West Virginia sheriff slain in his car. Let's see. There's a shooting down in Fort Knox. I said it was not a random act. We'll get back to this in a minute. U.S. Marine kills 2 colleagues at Quantico. That's in Virginia. This was last week. I mean, I know they're just highlighting these things, and they're doing it for a reason. But you got to wonder, what's going on, man? All of a sudden, buck-ass frickin' wild, man, is what's going on. The world is going crazy. We're becoming bloodthirsty here in America. Down in West Virginia, there's a cop, sheriff, shot to death. He was eating lunch in his car. They caught the guy, wounded him. Says here, and this is why I like to do things with, work with groups like Innocent Down. You can go to innocentdown.org. Look up Clyde Freeman on Facebook, and you can find out the numbers of us that have been killed each year. But 28 officers been killed in the line of duty since April 3rd, 2012, including 13 with firearms. And I didn't notice what the numbers were for last year, but the numbers are going up. And yes, it absolutely is blowback. Look, when you leave people with no course, with no recourse, with no avenue to satisfaction, if you leave someone with no satisfaction, with no ability to redress their grievances, you get, what we're seeing over and over and over again. We've got a nation that, is bought and paid for by pharmaceutical, by, defense contractors, by big oil corporations, by private prison contractors. And there's so much of this crack money corruption going around that they, that they start with our children. They pull them out of school. They put them in detention centers. They skip them off into CPS. They get them into the system because they know. They know, man. If you take a 12-year-old kid, right, and you put him in a foster home, I'm just using myself as an example, all right? And I didn't like it. I didn't want to be in a foster home, so I ran away. And I would live in the woods. Of course, I didn't just run away. In foster care, every, I think, 4 months they send a check so you can get clothes and things like that. And so I would always wait till that check got cashed and find out where it was being stored, and I would take it and go. Hey, that's my money. That's for me. I'm out of here. And I'd go live in the woods. And I was doing that when I was 13, living in the woods. But my point is that, you'd get caught, and then you'd go to the detention center, which is the lockup, and wait for another bed to open up. And then you progressively get into worse and worse foster care until finally I'm in, in this freaking horse ranch out in the middle of nowhere where the guy, before I even, they dropped me off at the house and rode me up to the barn. And I was cleaning stables before I even unpacked my clothes. Well, each time you go through, lockup. And then after that, after I ran away from there, I go to lockup, and now I can't go to, now no foster home wants me. So you go to a group home. The group home is full of boys that No foster home wants, man. And it was literally fistfights every day. And then all of a sudden, bam, I went from 13 to now I'm 30 freaking years old. I've been a lifelong denizen of the system, in and out, in one form of custody or supervision or another, till I was 30. Till I quit drinking 14 years ago. 14 years I haven't had a drink. And you don't need to pat me on the back for doing what I'm supposed to do, which was quit drinking. Since this is this is just a off-the-cuff broadcast, and I do have to go to the bathroom. How about false flood?
Never thought I'd feel this way. I wanted to believe the founders are turning in their graves at what we've come to be. Tactics that destroy our freedom and civil liberties. Propagates never-ending war for profit by dolly lanes. You can fool people some of the time, but you can't fool me. The Constitution can't defend itself, so you're gunning for guys like me. Well, bring it on, we prefer it straight, instead of lies and deceit. But be aware we know your game, our numbers you can't evade. Beware of spread. Where do you think this will lead? Open your eyes and say, where do you think this will lead? They're building a killing machine. You like to think it can't happen here? Open your eyes and see. Hijacked by a group of thugs and criminals in D.C. Don't let them intimidate you. Fear is how they feed. No matter what they throw our way, we must defend liberty. Beware of spread. Where do you think this will lead? Open your eyes and say, where do you think this will lead? They're building a killing machine.
We've got to have a civilian national security force that's just as powerful, just as strong, just as well funded.
Our war on terror begins with Al-Qaeda, but it does not end. It will not end until every terrorist group of global reach has been found, stopped, and defeated.
man. Sons of Liberty, false flag. Welcome back to the podcast. I am your host, Jim Freeland. Some of you know me. All four of you are listening to this. We'll eventually get the listenership up once I get the word out. And it'll be great. How about this? I'm gonna blast through a few of the headlines. I haven't been on the air for a while, so I haven't been able to chuckle and giggle. Here's a priest that pleads guilty to drug peddling. He got caught with almost 2 kilos of meth. It's a Catholic priest. These are our, and you got to wonder. They're child molesters. Now they're meth heads and tweakers. That tweak, man, when you get on that meth, when you've been on it for a few days, it's like ecstasy. And you do become, you're sick, man. You hear voices, you see shadows. Monsignor Kevin Wallen, 61, former pastor of the St. Augustine Parish in Bridgeport, was arrested January 3rd, accused of receiving a shipment of crystal meth from California and selling drugs to an undercover officer 6 times. Oh, man. Tweakers and baby rapers. Tweakers and baby rapers. That's... and when people want to give me, hand me out, what do they call those things? Those little flyers? Damn. I forgot what they're called. People want to hand me these and tell me to support the church. Screw you, man. All kinds of deprivation I won't be a part of. Maybe I should put the spittle windsock back on this thing. But I mean, this just, how do you get to be a priest, 61 years old, all these years, a man, a man of the cloth, better, a man who gives advice to all of us, dirty, sinning, sinful masses. But maybe he didn't do tweak. Maybe he wasn't a tweaker himself. But he had a serious goddamn connection. 1.7 kilos. You know how much fucking money that is on the streets? That's a lot. You know anything about real estate? Is 1.7 kilos a lot? Yeah, it is. Oh, man. Oh, guys. Jeez, yeah, yesterday. I don't know if anybody checked it out. I'm sure I haven't listened to a whole lot of radio in the last few days. Last night or yesterday in Russia, there was a skyscraper completely. I mean, I have a video of it. I'll drop this in the chat room. Just completely freaking engulfed, man. Has to be 40 floors at least of one side of this building. Just completely engulfed. I mean, unfucking believable. And according to the 9/11 Commission, NIST, that building should have already come down. That building should have only burned for a few hours, then collapsed, turned into dust. In its own goddamn footprint. I just don't get, man, how people fall for this crap anymore. It's not that you're brainwashed. It's that these things have been suggested to you from birth. That what you see on the news is real, that the findings from any official investigation are, the Facts. The facts. Only the facts. In Russia, buildings don't burn. Buildings burn you. Right. Building burns you. Very funny. I mean, again, use this Doug Stanhope example. If it wasn't pounded into your head from birth, you Christians, you hardcore believers, you Jews, you hardcore believers, even Muslims, because they're all Judaic, Abrahamic, I mean, all you guys, right? So if this hadn't been pounded, if you had never seen a Bible, you lived in a freaking cave until you were 35 years old, and then you were brought out of this cave, right, and given the Bible, and you read it, the burning bush, Moses, the parting the Red Sea, Noah's Ark, and you read all these things. Would they seem plausible to you? Would it seem plausible to you? No, it wouldn't. And neither would most of the things that happen today in the news, whether it's geopolitical or social, in your own neck of the woods. It's because since we were children, man, these things have been instilled, suggested to us over and over and over. Over and over. There's been a couple of, I don't know how many people have, and I haven't had a chance to actually talk to anybody about this executive order that establishes a presidential commission of elections, appointed, a 9-member commission, appointed by the president. Again, okay, all right, this is how things work in a correctional facility, because they don't have laws. All right? They can just, your award, your property that belongs to them. All right? And they don't need laws in a correctional facility. They just have policy and procedure. So where tonight, it's fine to have your socks on the bar drying and your towels. Tomorrow, it's now the new policy that if your socks are on the bars, you get a ride up and go to, Max. Well, that's what they're doing now. When they put, 700 pages in a bill, and then they publish, they pick out 5 or 6 words that sound good, and that's what they call the bill. And then everybody talks about it, about how good it is, about how bad it is. I mean, what the fuck? How the hell is it that people feel like we need more rules, more laws, more regulations every year? Well, with these new, with czars, with, unelected officials making decisions, bureaucrats, your ability to question authority, your ability to challenge authority legitimately goes down the drain because they're operating outside of the rule of law that we've grown accustomed, that we've understood. I mean, this is an appointed by the president commission of an election administration to improve voting process. Right. You mean to completely take control. And it's not Barack Obama. It's the system. Because Barack Obama isn't even going to be in the next election. This is for the next president. This is for the next debacle. We haven't had a real election since just before September 11th. Bush lost twice. Barack Obama is not even eligible to be president. Everybody wants to save a system. I say hug a hobo. I firmly don't believe that any president needs to claim dictatorial powers. They already have it. It's the chair they sit in. These guys are just as powerful and influential and rich. Bill Clinton, George, G-Dub, H.W. These guys that are unlike Carter, who completely blew chunks. You don't play, you get, they chew you up and spit you out. All right, we'll move along. I've only got a couple more minutes. Grab this over here. Grab this. The debate is over in the Middle East now. Oh, here's a good one. Scientology linked rehab Narcanon under fire from. Oh, I thought they said it was set fire. Jesus. See, I'm glad I'm not doing a oh, man. We'll talk about, because I knew the wool was being pulled over our eyes, in Egypt with the Muslim Brotherhood. Those are the new saviors of Southwest Asia, rather. Northeastern Africa. It's not the Middle East, okay? It's Southwest Asia and Northwest Africa. These are regions that were established long before we put borders and gave them new names. And it's causing tension. And, everybody wants to talk about a two-state solution in Israel. Why? The two-state solution is the problem. The Zionist government in Israel. I mean, call it Palestine, call it Israel. But get rid of the Zionist party and allow everybody to vote, everybody to own land, everybody to sue in court for damages. These are all things that are denied Palestinians. Ethiopian Christians, ethnically cleansed, driven from the land. Who's the biggest bigots and racists in the area? They're surrounded by enemies, but it's because they're made them themselves. Most of the people in Israel want to exist peacefully. The government can't exist without tensions because it's an illegitimate government. Just like the United States. 800 military bases, 155 countries. That's more than 3/4 of the fucking planet. Can't keep that running without Al-Qaeda, without the Muslim Brotherhood. I told you 2 years ago when everybody was talking about this is a grassroots, and then they started calling it a CIA operation. I said from the beginning, don't talk to me about Egypt until they decide what they're going to do with the tunnels into Gaza. They flooded them with sewage. Not a two-state solution. A one-state solution where everybody in Israel is equal. Black, white, Jew, Christian, Muslim, Arab, Brit. It's the politics. It's the politicians. It's the tin pot propped up Western-backed dictators that push these big religious problems, you know, Kurds and Shia and Sunni. Our friends, Saudi Arabia, the creators, the origin of the Wahhabi jihadist, they're Sunni. If we install the Shia government, we back a Shia illegitimate government in Iraq, a country completely decimated. It's more than a mistake. Iraq was more than a mistake. It's a war crime. It's a crime against humanity. People should be tried, convicted, and hanged by the neck until they're dead. We hung Japanese officers for waterboarding American POWs. Iraq and Afghanistan are both more than a mistake, a quagmire. They are crimes against humanity. They are war crimes. They are the ultimate crime. A war of aggression against someone who offered or who opposed or there was no threat from. There was no threat from Iraq. This was an illegal, immoral, undeclared, unconstitutional war crime. It's not just a mistake. It's not just a matter of, you know, well, what do we do now? Yeah, we all agree it was a mistake, but we can't just I mean, ask the goddamn Native Americans in America. Ask the slaves. We always move on without actually offering remedy, without actually offering redress of the real grievances. You never look back. Always look forward. Never go straight. But every little aspect of your life is scrutinized if you step out of line in the American correctional facility. You have to program. You've got to work, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. Oh, yeah, I guess I could go on for another couple hours, but I'm not. I got things to do. Oh, yeah. I've already got about 2 more hours worth of material here. And that was just from playing 2 songs and a clip. It's just because I haven't, it's been like 4 days. It's been since last Friday. And I didn't even cover news most of last week. I just got all gushy about how I love everybody from Oracle. Which I do. Dougie, my good buddy. Man, I love you, motherfucker. It's my podcast. All right, guys. I will keep everybody informed of where this podcast goes, when I'll be launching it live. Man, fuck a Snoop Dogg. That nigga don't know. I'm going to leave you with this. My good friends. The Amaros, ask a question. Name your price. What are you willing to pay? What are you willing to pay for freedom? All right, I'll see you guys. What the hell? I'll try to be here tomorrow, same time. We'll do one more show. I'll get Skype figured out, and I'll have somebody on with me, maybe. The Amaros. And we'll end the show with this. Againstthewall.info. You can follow me at Twitter by following at JJ Inc. JJINK. Find me on FB, on Facebook, The Jim Freeland Show. You guys rock on.
You name your price for freedom. How many rights will you lose before you realize that you need them? Name your price.
innocent men in prison. Name your price for freedom. When there's no use trying to keep on justifying another human dying. Name your price for freedom. You name your price.